Hello everybody and welcome to this video where I'm going to talk to you about avoiding rubric infringements. Nothing to do with Rubik's Cubes, this is something completely different. There's a situation in the English literature exams, I'm going to talk about the AQA English literature exams, where if you're not careful you can lose a lot of marks potentially. And that's to do with when there are questions that require you to do perhaps two different things, and you have to make sure that you do both things, else you can have your marks capped. The very best they can get is the top of level 2, and that's way below half marks, because if you think about it, there are 6 levels that you can achieve in the English literature mark scheme. So what do I mean by this? Well, in paper 1 section A and paper 1 section B, you're asked to write about an extract and the whole text. So paper 1 section A, let's say you're doing Macbeth and you're looking at how Lady Macbeth is presented as powerful in the extract from Act 1 Scene 5, but also in the wider play. Paper 1 section B, you're asked about, let's say, Jekyll and Hyde, how the character of Jekyll is presented in the extract, but also how he is presented in the wider text as a whole. Paper 2, section B, the anthology poetry, you're asked to respond to a named poem and one other poem from the named cluster. So there are 2 parts to the questions. Now, if you do not do both parts, okay, so if you only write about the extract and not the whole text, or you only write about the named poem and not another poem from the cluster, then the rule is, and this is explained in the mark scheme, that your marks can be capped, in other words, get no higher than the top of level 2. Now, every time this happens, an examiner will have to pass the work on to their superior, to a senior examiner who will review the case. So, you know, this is not necessarily something that will happen 100 times out of 100. It will be passed on and a decision will be made at an executive level. But let me just say to you, do not make this mistake. Do not put yourself in a position where you could lose marks here. Make sure paper 1 section A and paper 1 section B, you write about the extract and you write about the whole text. Make sure paper 2 section B, you write about the named poem and one other poem from the correct cluster. You do not want to, in the panic of the exam, make a mistake, miss out one of those areas and lose lots and lots of marks, because in theory you could write an amazing, mind-blowing analysis, but if you miss out both parts of the question, so let's say you write about an extract in absolutely brilliant terms, but you don't write about the whole text, then you could, in theory, come out with an awful mark. So do not make that mistake. That's how to avoid the rubric infringements. If you find these sorts of videos useful, please do subscribe to the channel.